You know what's crazy about Elden Ring is that the game will give you 3 bosses that you will breeze through, and then 3 bosses that you will probably struggle against. Since Elden Ring was my first From Software game, I wanted to tell you guys which bosses I felt was easy, and which one humbled the fuck out of me. So we're starting off weak so far by having 2 deaths from the very first boss that you fight. I'll be honest, he really wasn't that difficult. I just wanted to learn the parry system and get used to the timing. Since this guy is considered one of the easiest boss in Elden Ring, I might as well just learn off of this boss. I also heard that there are different parry windows, depending on what shield you might have or what weapon you equipped. And it took me a bit to get used to it, which is why I died twice. I feel like I probably didn't have to include that, but I'm gonna be transparent and show you that, yep, I definitely died from this guy more than once. And now it's on the record. Okay, so this was the very first character to really skill check me. Like, this guy was the reason I quit Elden Ring during launch. And so the next time I actually loaded up the game and fully committed, it took me roughly around 25 tries to beat this boss. The character arc trying to fight this boss helped me develop some of my fundamental skills throughout the game, like learning to parry and finding opportunities to punish the boss, to get some free damage in. And I also learned that halfway through, the boss adds some new movesets, which also taught me to just be cautious when the boss's health gets through like half. Just in case they do some other bullshit that I'm not expecting. And then all these important lessons I learned just from that very first boss that they give you. Alright, this guy was the second guy to skill check me in the game. This is where I learned that some of the bosses will delay their attacks and just hit you during your roll. Because before, I would just panic roll all the time, and luckily, it managed to avoid most of the hits, But this time, this enemy's different. Margit really forces you to actually have some patience in order to dodge some of his attacks. Luckily, since I was grinding out that first boss, I was able to parry some of his attacks, but in the end, I just said fuck it and just dodged some of his attacks. Even though I died to him like around 30 times, this boss was actually fun to fight. So for Godrick, I actually didn't die not even once to this boss, and I think I honestly overleveled for this fight, so that kind of helped me do some crazy damage to him. Like, my flask definitely carried me though. I had like 8 and ended up using all of them towards the end of this fight. What I do like about this boss is the second phase. Like the fact that he rips that dragon off the statue and then uses it as his own hand. Like, that was cool as shit. And I also attribute a lot of my success to the Bloodhound's Fang. Like, this weapon literally was my personality throughout my whole playthrough. I fully committed to the Bloodhound Fang's playstyle. I don't know, you might say it's, the first weapon you do for your first playthrough, but damn, it's really good. So I'm pretty sure that weapon definitely helped me out throughout this fight. Okay, this boss honestly wasn't bad, if you know her gimmick, which is why I only died to her about 10 times. First phase was tough since I didn't know you were supposed to hit the glowing ones to burst her bubble, but once she's on the ground, she just lays there, allowing you to get some free damage in until you trigger her second phase, which is honestly the coolest entrance I've seen so far. But anyways, as soon as I got distracted by her cool entrance, yep, I got one-shotted by her laser blast thingy. Oh my god, what the? So now, best believe that's not gonna happen again, now that I know her whack-ass gimmick now. Honestly, in this fight, I feel like I got lucky because someone in my chat told me that she usually summons a dragon or one of those bloodhound dudes. But the only thing that spawned for me so far was either a giant or some wolves. I definitely think imposter syndrome is kicking in, but looking back on it, I think a dragon would have probably affected how I would have fought her. Like, it probably would have increased the amount of deaths that it would have took to beat her. Alright, this was the very first fight that I was actually nervous about, because I saw how cruel this character can be trying to spam his stupid asteroids while rocketing towards you like a comet from Armageddon. But many people were saying that they did nerf Radahn since launch, so he's probably not as bad as before, but I still couldn't help feeling scared to fight Radahn. As I descended the elevator, my heart was racing and my palms were so sweaty. And when I finally teleported to the area, off the rip this dude hits me with his bullshit ass gravity magic and nearly kills me. Alright, that's okay. I have some flask on me, so I heal up, and I run towards him. Which then he decides to drop some massive ass pillars on me, which I narrowly avoid, only to be met by his shotgun-like attack from his bow and arrow, which honestly was one of the most challenging parts of the fight. Just getting to him was a struggle. But once you get to him, I don't think he's that bad, honestly, because I already kind of expected him to delay his attacks, since Margit already forced me to kind of have patience when it comes to dodging, so I was able to avoid the majority of Radahn's attack. And the comet too wasn't too hard to dodge. Like, if you're on your horseback, literally just run around. It's not too bad. But I'm gonna be honest, his last phase got me shocked. I'm pretty sure I got lucky or some shit, because I don't think he did anything in that fight that seemed unfair to me, which is why I was kind of surprised that I ended up beating him around 25 tries. This was definitely one of the cooler boss fights I've experienced, just because they kind of set him up to be this monster of a boss to where they have to host a festival every year to see who can kill the strongest creature in Caelid. So I think that alone was pretty cool to me. Alright, after beating Radahn, I was trying to explore the new region of the map that just opened up from the meteor strike. Then I got stumped by the very first bullshit boss I've ever experienced in this game. I literally couldn't believe how cruel Miyazaki could be. This boss, like, one of these bosses were pretty manageable, but having the other one spawn with a different moveset while the other boss is farting at you with his poison damage was just complete utter bullshit. This was definitely the first boss that taught me to kind of move some talismans around to kind of fit the boss fight and kind of strategize. So what I decided was it was just going to be more efficient if I killed the first one as fast as possible. If I can do that, I can probably tip the odds to me. Instead of 2v1, we can make this a 1v1. And then so after 50-ish tries, I finally got to beat this boss with the biggest smile on my face. I fucking won! I don't know if that counts, but I fucking won! And this boss literally had me almost throw my controller to the wall. On my way to Lendl capital, Miyazaki decided to continue fucking with me again by giving me 2 tree sentinels to fight. This bitch already skill checked me earlier in the game. Now you're asking me to fight 2 of them at the same time? I still tried it, Maybe with the skills I've evolved from fighting Radahn or Margit, maybe I can finally take on this too. Oh no! My boy Torin! God damn it. Nah, fuck that. I literally did the same thing from the gargoyle fight, and I literally just separated the 2 of them and fought them individually, leaving me with only about 15 or so deaths from this fight. So before I go ahead and give Margit the ones, I had to fight the fake Godfrey first. I died to him around 5 times, only because I thought that you could parry some of his attacks, and I found out that I really couldn't. Then after that, it took me a little bit of time to kind of adjust to his moveset, because for some reason, I had a hard time trying to adjust to his moveset compared to like some of the other bosses. I think maybe it was because I couldn't spam my Ash of War or something. Like I literally learned how to just mix in some light attacks after he does some of his like moveset, which seemed to work. And what's crazy is this wasn't even the real Godfrey. The real one was way worse than this guy. But this guy isn't too bad. Now we get to fight Margit Part 2, which I still don't understand why we had to fight him twice. I don't know, someone explained to me about that lore, but anyways, this boss wasn't too bad either. I didn't die once to this guy. Maybe it was just due to blind luck or pure skill, but I fought him before, so I kind of expected the same old moveset from him, so I just dodged accordingly. And I will admit that my flask definitely carried me through this fight. At this point in the game, I think I had close to like 10 healing flasks, so best believe I was chugging that shit like it was Mountain Dew. Bro, what happened to your gains, bro? Bro, you were so like, you were borderline buff. What happened? Why are you so petite all of a sudden, dude? Alright, apparently I did things in the wrong order and forgot to beat Rykard, so I went back to try to beat him before I take on either the Fire Giant or the Lord of Blood or even Maliketh. But this boss was easily the most cinematic looking boss fights in the game. Like for me personally, it was one of the more memorable ones just because they gave you this cool wind blade thingy and it does considerable amount of damage to the boss. And also the fact that they had the second phase where an ugly ass guy pulls out a sword from the other mouth of the dragon was just utterly horrifying. Which then leads to the second phase divulging into something where you just spam your rolls hoping that you don't get hit by anything. What's with the skull flame bullshit? What is this? Oh my god. I think looking back now, this is one of those first bosses where I had to reallocate some of my flask, to make sure I have enough blue juice to kind of sustain the Ash of War. But overall, even though this fight was sometimes bullshit, especially at the second phase, I think this was one of the more memorable fights in Elden Ring for sure. Yes! 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 Yes, baby! Yes! Yes! Alright, the Fire Giant honestly wasn't too bad. It's probably because my Bloodhound's Fang was doing some good damage at this point in the game, so maybe that's why it felt easier to me. However, the distance you had to travel from the moment you entered the gate to where the boss was, in my opinion, was just so tedious. Because he does this snowplow attack that I can't consistently dodge, and I figured out that maybe if you dismount at a certain point, you could kinda dodge it, but his first phase wasn't too bad. All you had to do was kinda hit his right leg until he kinda died, and then once he goes to the second phase, if you stay on your horse, it made his boss a lot easier. Because he throws some fire damage at you, and it's kinda hard to dodge when you're on foot, but when you're on horseback, so much easier. His rolling attack is kinda whack though. I accidentally got flattened like a pancake one time during it. I had a good laugh from it, but still kinda bullshit though. And he also has a habit of just rolling away. Like, why can't you just stay in place and let me hit you? But I guess, these bosses have to defend themselves somehow. If I had to guess, it probably took me 20-ish tries to get him, which honestly wasn't too bad, but it is what it is. Oh, his ass is mine, bro. Victory shall be mine today! 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 This guy legit turned off my brain. Like, I don't understand why I couldn't just sit in place and just wait for his delayed attack to come out first. Like, I understand that he's going to delay his attacks. I've been practicing that throughout this whole game, but for some reason, my brain still falls for it every time. Oh! What makes this fight worse is the fact that he throws some bullshit around the entire level, which freaks me out. And you know, once you panic roll in this boss fight, you're pretty much cooked, because the boss will capitalize on it and murder your ass. I also hate the fact that he has this cheesy ass move where he literally steals health from you in order to regain some of his health. It would have pissed me off, but I found out that there was a crystal tear that helps negate this move if you explore enough. So best believe if I didn't know that, my death counter would have probably been higher. But luckily, I think I got him around my 80th try, but without that crystal tear, it probably would have been around 100 for sure. I got him! Yes! Yes! I fucking got him! Like, I fought each of them individually and won back-to-back during that one dungeon closer to the snowy region, so I've already built up some knowledge of their moveset and what to expect. But I had a really good first attempt, but it wasn't enough. Oh no, I was cooked! I knew once he started rolling around like a stupid ball of donut, I was gonna die. Sometimes I would get really lucky and the other boss would just, like, respect the 1v1. But the other times, they act like a unit and proceed to beat my ass. Like, I think on my last try, I just locked the fuck in and managed to kill both of them fast enough to where only one of them spawns, which made the fight significantly easier. And it took me around 50-ish tries to beat. What the fuck? The fuck is this? The fourth one didn't even spawn. For this guy, I already had some experience fighting him already. When you do the Deathroot side quest, he ends up fighting you at some point, which allowed me to kind of learn some of his movesets beforehand. Which, you know, if you haven't heard about the Deathroot side quest or cared not to do it, you should consider doing it. Because if you deliver all the Deathroots, his dialogue is different, and it's kind of cool to hear. But anyways, first phase, I did have enough flasks to just heal through it, but then the second phase really fucked me up. Damn! I definitely had to use a lot of my Astral Ward just to dodge some of his incoming attacks, which led me to beating him within 5 tries, which is the most shocking thing for me ever. Like, I heard a lot of people struggling with this guy and only took me like a handful of times. I don't know if that's bragging rights, but call that a personal achievement though. I fucking got him, bro! How many tries was that? 3? 4? We'll say 5, we'll say 5. Whew, that guy was tough though, I ain't gonna lie. Let me tell you how dope Godfrey was when he was introduced. He's literally everything I want to be when I play an RPG. Tall, buff, intimidating. Like, everything about this guy screams badass. He's literally so badass that he hit us with a Conqueror's Haki from One Piece and made my character wince just from his yell. I'm not gonna lie, some of the first movements was pretty challenging, but you know, this is nothing new to us. We've dealt with this before. So it took me a good 15 to 20 tries before I could finally get him to a second phase, which was so much more intense. Just seeing the cutscene that transitions to a second phase was so cool to see. The way he transforms is he rips off the lion off of his shoulder and becomes a maniac. And his fighting style changes to this kind of like brawler type fighting style, which reminds me of some WWE superstar. And it's very aggressive. Like, I had a hard time dodging some of his attacks. Like, he has this one attack where if you get caught up in this grab attack, he throws you up to the sky, Batista bombs you, and slams you onto the ground. And whenever I would get caught up in it, it would discourage me because it's literally the most telegraphed move in the game. And the only reason why I would miss it is because I panic and dodge too early. I kid you not, I got stuck on this boss for a while until I realized that the Bloodhound's Astral Ward is actually perfect during the second fight because it allowed me to kind of dodge slightly before he would initiate his next attack, which just happened to sync up perfectly with the invincibility frames that was given to you from the Astral Ward. And once I realized that, this boss was easy. It took me around 40-45 tries to beat him. But let me tell you, if I were to cosplay as someone from Elden Ring, it would be this guy. Like, he literally has a stand from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on his shoulder. Like, that's sick as fuck. Oh, he's dead. That's what it was, bro. That's what it was. I just need to use my Astral Ward towards the last part. I've heard that this boss used to be the hardest boss that From Software has to offer. Me having no prior Soulsborne experience got me scared to fight her. Maybe she also has this gimmick where she can just farm health off of you every time she hits you. So at some point, if you fail to dodge half her attacks, you might just accidentally give her a good chunk of her health back. Which is crazy because some of her attacks were just unavoidable. She had these 2 attacks where I just couldn't dodge consistently. There was one where she did a quick slashing attack followed by like another quick slash. And then of course, you have the waterfowl dance. I literally could not find a way to consistently dodge this until I discovered that one of my weapons contained an Astral Ward called Bloodhound Bloodhound Step, which allowed me to consistently dodge the first part of her attack and then the other attacks after that. Every time she would initiate the animation, I would quickly swap to the weapon that had the Bloodhound Step and then switch back to my main damage dealer. Her second phase was even crazier. She had this attack where she just throws astral projections at you, and I would never learn to consistently dodge them. Not to mention she had these explosive attacks after she completes any of her slam attacks, which sometimes would catch me off guard. But even though this boss fight was extremely difficult and sometimes downright impossible at times, I thought the fight was overall fun. If you're really good enough, you could probably parry a good chunk of her attacks. And in fact, half of her attacks can be interrupted, which I definitely took advantage of a lot. This was the very first fight that taught me what to do if a boss just keeps consistently killing you and nothing seems to work, which is just to put the game down, tackle it again the next day, and for some reason, this seemed to work for me. Like, I don't know, maybe I had to wait for the patch notes to download in my brain or whatever, but doing that alone made me feel more confident the next time I fought her, and enabled me to beat her around my 90th try. I missed! I fucking got her! Let's go! Yes! Yes! Party! Yes! You! That's fucking cool! Apparently, some people say it's easier than Malenia, which I'm gonna call cap on that one because my dumbass brain couldn't memorize any of his attack patterns. Every roll catch he did caught me, and that one attack where he just hits you with that 3-piece combo always hits me. I at least got to the point where I can kind of dodge the first two, but never the third one consistently. Oh, did I mention that you also can't interrupt any of his attacks? And since I got used to interrupting Malenia's attacks often, I basically had to relearn to stop being greedy and spamming the attack button. If Radagon was the only person you had to fight, I think this fight would have been fine. But you also had to fight the Elden Beast after that, and that was bullshit. If you happened to use all your flash going into the Elden Beast fight, you would have been cooked. Luckily, they added a patch where you can kind of use Torrent during this part, so his stupid ass circle nuke attack wasn't even an issue anymore. It's also handy to use Torrent often because this Elden Beast has a habit of just running away often, not to mention the part where he just throws light projections at you that seem to lock onto your character without any chance of dodging it. Like, the only way I've learned to deal with it was just to tank it and hope I had enough healing flasks to survive it. But once I saw all his bullshit attack patterns, I finally beat the boss, subsequently beating the game. Oh, that was clutch. No way I beat this early! Bro! I literally just started! Come on! Come the fuck out of here! I just started! Oh, I forgot about this guy, honestly, but I kind of regret it because he had some of the coolest entrances ever. You literally go take a nap, and then once you wake up, you see the arena assembled around you. Like, this aura screams intimidation off the rip. Like, I kind of saw some of these cutscenes online, and I couldn't imagine how you could even beat this boss. But once you're actually fighting him, he's honestly not that bad. A lot of dragons in this game have like a very telegraphed moveset, so all I did was just watch out for it, and just kept wailing on the guy until he died. If I had to be generous, I'd probably say I died with him 10-15 times. Of course he fucking farts fire. And he's dead. Okay, good night. So those were some of the bosses that kind of breezed through, and then some of the ones I struggled with. Let me know which bosses you struggled with in the comments below. And go ahead and do me a favor and like and subscribe to the video. And once you're done with that, I'll catch you on the next time.